Get your kids out there and find that community for them and put yourself out there as well. Hey everyone, this is Yvette Hampton. Welcome back to the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast. I am back with Aby Rinella, and we are on day 3 of our series that we're doing. This is the Homeschool Survival series, and this is our homeschooling crash course. So this is part 1 of this great series that we're doing over the next several weeks. We're going to be helping you mamas, whether you are a veteran homeschool mom or a brand new homeschool mom, figure out how to do this homeschooling thing and give you some very specific steps on getting started. But before we get into this, I want to thank our sponsor again, CTC Math. We are so grateful for them, not just because they have a great math curriculum and online product for us, for our kids to do math, but because they have been so generous with us to support this podcast. I mean, truly, honestly, this is how we do what we do, is through our sponsors. And so we are so grateful for our sponsors and for CTC Math, because they have stuck with us for, I think this is their 4th season with us, and they've just been amazing. So check them out, ctcmath.com. You can sign up for a free trial of their online math curriculum. We are back, and we are talking about just some basics of homeschooling, right?
Yeah,
right?
the basics.
It's the crash course.
It is the crash course.
Yeah, and
we're not getting into the nitty gritty, which we will, but we're giving you the overview.
Right, the overview. And so here's what we've talked about so far. We've talked about step 1 is pray.
Mm-hmm.
Step 2 is the law. Know what your state requirements are.
Yep. And get involved in the battle to keep our homeschool freedoms, I would say.
Right. Yes. Step 3 is deschooling.
Yep.
Step 4 is attend a homeschool convention. Yep. And we have a few more steps for you today.
Yep.
So here we go. Step 5 is get plugged in. This is a really, really important part of homeschooling.
Yeah. And these aren't in order other than pray is number 1. Pray is number 1. Right. But I would say find a homeschool communities up there too.
Yes.
But yeah, we need, well, as women and as people of the Lord, we need community, period.
Yes.
I mean, that's why we have churches, is because God knows that we need community and fellowship. And that's why we have family. And that's why we're not meant to go this life alone in any capacity. Right.
Right.
And the same goes with homeschool. We're not meant to do this alone. And this one has to be pretty intentional, because very rarely as a homeschool mom are people pounding at my door wanting to fellowship with me during the day. You're kind of an island a little bit, and so this you have to be more intentional, certain temperaments and personalities as well. If you are a bit of an introvert, you're going to have to really put yourself out there. But I also want to remind you that some people say, I don't really need community that much. I'm good. I'm an introvert. But let us remember that we're also raising children who do need community, right? So even if you're an introvert, your children maybe are not all of them anyway. Yeah. So we need community for a lot of reasons. One, this just goes back to the word of God. One, we just need encouragement. Some days are just lonely, and we need to be reminded that we're not alone. We need encouragement. We need accountability. I need accountability to do what God has called me to do. We need someone that can help us when we want to quit. There's so much about community. We need the people that have gone before us to remind us of the end goal, right? To remind us that we're not there yet, but we're working towards the end goal. And that kind of goes into needing a mentor, right?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. We talked about that a little bit before when we talked about going to conventions, is find a mentor mom to go with you. Finding a mentor mom, I think, is one of the most important things we can do. And that mentor mom might even change from, year to year, season to season.
Right.
But when I first started homeschooling, there were a few moms in our church who homeschooled. And I remember just literally, I would call them up and just say, can you just come help me? One mom in particular that I'm thinking of. And I just said, can you just come to my house? Because I don't know what I'm doing. I need to show you. And this was, I think, our very first year of homeschooling. And she came to my house for a few hours, and I laid out all of my books and curriculum that I had. And I said, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm so overwhelmed, and I'm not sure what to do. And she was like, your daughter's 4, take a breath.
Yes. Oh my word. Yes.
And it was so great, because she just put it all into perspective for me. And her kids had already graduated. And so she was able to just take the wisdom that she had learned and pass that on to me. And she was happy to do it.
Yeah. And I think honestly, that's the key, because we need peers to just, have fellowship with.
Yeah.
But our peers are in the trenches with us. And sometimes our peers don't have the long view that these
Right.
veteran moms who have graduated their kids do. They're right with us who are still like, we need to do this. We have to do this. I saw this on Pinterest. I read this in a book. We're doing this. Why aren't you doing this? And there's almost that pressure where, like you said, when you get, the peer that's like, my 4-year-old's reading. Why isn't yours? But when you get those veteran moms, those mentor moms that have been there, they're the ones that can look at you and say, "Your kid is 4. Like,
Yeah.
call me when they're 12 if they're still wetting the bed," type thing.
Right.
They've been there. They don't sweat the small stuff, but they also have an eye for the important things
Yes.
because they've seen it. It's past. And honestly, this isn't our brilliant idea. It says in Titus 2, God says that the older women are to teach and train up the
That's
younger
right.
women. We need that. This is the way God designed it,
Right.
that we are to seek them. I also think in loving others, these veteran moms, like for me, my life has been given to my children. Like I live, eat, and breathe this. This is what I do. And there's going to be a day where they're going to move on.
Yeah.
And it might be very lonely and very hard for me. And what a blessing. I see these veteran moms when you ask them a question, they light up like, I'm still needed, like I'm
Right.
still wanted. And I think we live in a generation who has thrown away those that have gone before us. And
Yep.
we'd rather get our information online or from our peers and we have to remember that God said, no, no, no. It's the older women that are
Right.
teach and train up the younger. And that's both for the younger and for the older so that they
Yeah.
still have participation and a purpose in all of this. And
Yes.
such wisdom, such
Yeah.
wisdom. Find someone with gray hair and ask them all the things.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know it's not easy for everybody because I know that not every person who lives in this country has someone in their community who is a
Right.
mentor mom. So, if and we really try to be that for you. We try to offer that to you through the podcast, through the guests that we come on. I mean, if you'll notice, I never podcast by myself ever. I can speak by myself to an audience, but I never podcast by myself because I want that perspective from someone else. I want that expertise from someone
Right.
who's been there and who's an expert in that particular topic that we're discussing.
Right.
And so I
Because
have
you know the
lots of
value of
mentor moms.
learning and
Yes.
gaining from other people.
Yes,
None of us
absolutely.
is an expert at everything.
Right, right, absolutely. And so it's great to have someone local, but if you don't, continue listening to the podcast or
Right.
find someone somehow who can
Yes.
help walk you through this. And again,
Right.
go to homeschool convention because that
That's
is
where
a
you'll
good place
find
to
them.
find some of your local people
Yep.
who can help you with this. You'll be surprised at the age ranges that you'll see
Yeah.
at a homeschool convention.
Yeah. Reach out to
Also,
your even state
I was just going to
organization.
say that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was going to
Perfect.
say where we are, Homeschool Oklahoma is our state organization, and a good part of the people who are on the board there have already graduated their kids.
Yes.
These are older couples, not
Yeah.
old, but older couples who have done that. And so if you call Homeschool Oklahoma,
Yep.
I'm sure you can get in touch with one of the board members who will help you
Find someone.
through this. HSLDA does the same thing. They have
Yes.
mentors who will help walk
Yeah.
you through these things. So even if it's not
Ask
someone
around at
local.
your church.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be like as much as we love to quote unquote mentor you, we aren't in that relationship of the I
Right.
don't know your kids' names. I don't know your struggles. I'd love to come over and help you fold socks, but I can't,
Yeah.
there is something about real life human interaction, touch, the hug when you're down,
Yes.
the person that's just kind of the hands and the feet on the day you need it. And so
Yeah.
sometimes it's our pride that keeps us from asking. And
Yeah.
so I've told a lot of younger moms who think they have it all together and it's all their pride that keeps them from asking. I say, you know what? Think about how you're serving that older mama. Think about how you're loving her by giving her an opportunity
Yeah.
to breathe into your children's lives.
And
So
to be a blessing.
it's so important, you guys. Community is so important and your kids
Yes.
need it. So for goodness sake, if it's nothing but for your kids to
Yep.
see that, then do it.
Agreed. And I want to just touch really quickly on what you said a few minutes ago. You talked about even if you're an introvert and you have a hard time
Yeah.
getting out,
Yeah.
it's so important for moms to get their kids out
Yes.
into the world and whether it's a co-op or a sporting team or maybe you have a local drama club or
Right.
gymnastics or something, get your kids out there and find that community for them and put
Yes.
yourself out there as well.
What we do at IEW is break through the noise of the grammar and the writing prompts, and we say, this is what you do, step by step. And I've witnessed it over and over again, both watching Andrew teach and hearing from parents, this is the best writing program. We've made it so easy and made it really affordable. So any mom can teach writing to their children using our course, and we guarantee it.
To try 3 weeks of free lessons, visit IEW.com. We are back with Aby. We talked about attending a homeschool convention. We talked about getting plugged in. Now we want to talk really quickly about the importance of planning. And this is the part where I think most moms get tripped up, is they're like, oh, I don't know how to plan. I don't know what to do.
Or they start planning before they've done any of these other things. This is usually the first step. And quite honestly, this should be the last step.
Yes.
The very last step.
It absolutely should be. Yes, it should be the last step. Though I will say you can do your planning through step 3 of deschooling. So as you're deschooling your kids and spending that time building your relationship with them and reestablishing your home, that is the part where you really want to plan.
Right.
But we talked about getting plugged in. That's part of your planning as well.
Correct.
So maybe we should have kind of flipped.
Yeah. But all of this is planning. And before we
Yes.
dive into planning, I think what we want to preface it is with plans are in pencil because it is God's plan, not ours. We will make we'll make our plans. God directs our path. And so if I've learned anything, because I am a planner, like I was that mom who, when my kid was 4, had my curriculum all laid out, and now it's, don't do that. But, hold it loosely, let the Lord direct it. Don't be afraid of change. My husband always says, you're not making a 10-year plan.
Right.
Stop making the 10-year plan. You're making the plan for this year or maybe this semester or maybe this week.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to change it. Don't make your plan have to look like the plan that you saw on Pinterest last night, know? So that's what we're prefacing with planning is hold it loosely. You're making more of a general outline.
Yes. Yes. A general outline.
I like to plan though.
In pencil. It is.
I like to make it in colors and it's like a hobby for me. Is that terrible?
Sure. No, that's super cool. And I love doing that too. I love Excel spreadsheets and I like using different fonts and colors and all the things. But not every mom likes to do that.
Yeah, don't feel like you have to
and
be
that
like
can
us.
be that. Don't let that be your thing. We talked about that a few weeks ago. Don't let that be your thing, and don't let that trip you up when it comes to homeschooling. No. And don't let it overwhelm you. This is again where community and a mentor mom can come into play and really help you with planning.
And I heard so many people say to me, "Well, you can do this because you're a planner." And I think that's a huge misconception. If you're not a planner, that doesn't mean you can't homeschool.
Right.
You're just going to have to learn some new things. It's kind of like, well, just because you're not a natural planner doesn't mean your family's not going to eat.
Right.
You're still going to feed them. So don't let that be a deterrent. Too many people throw in the towel because they don't think they're wired like a planner.
Yeah. And we're going to, in a few minutes, I'm going to give you a bunch of book recommendations kind of in order of how I would recommend them. And so these are books that will help you with your planning. But we're going to actually talk about, like I said, in the next few weeks, we're going to talk about planning. We're going to help you with that. We're going to help you understand curriculum, what you need to look for in good curriculum and how that fits into your family and the just
real life,
the style of your family in real life and how your family rolls. We're going to talk about learning styles and homeschooling methods and teaching methods, all of those things. And so that all plays into planning.
Yes.
And that's something that you need time to do that. And you don't do it all in one day. And it's going to morph and change. Like you said, you do it in pencil because what you think might work. And this has happened to me every single year, 11 years of homeschooling. Every single year I have started with a specific curriculum for some subject.
Yeah.
And we get a few months into the year and I'm like, this is just not working for us this year. Maybe it worked last year.
To throw it out.
Right.
You throw it out?
I don't usually throw it out, but I will usually put it on the shelf or sometimes I'll give it to people. I mean,
or you might have a kid that it does work for. So shelve it,
Right. Which is what I've done. Right. For Brooklyn, if it's something that doesn't work for her, then it might work for Lacey. So,
but we're teaching, this is the other thing. We're teaching real humans. And that's the beauty of what we're doing. So they change, what worked for my daughter 2 years ago may not work this year. They change. I change. Life changes. Circumstances change. So where in the world do we get this idea that we make this in stone homeschool plan that can't change, So as we dive into these other things too, this is what my mother-in-law always says, eat the fish, spit out the bones. Like take what's going to work for your family, allow the Lord to use it in your family, but it doesn't have to be every bullet point that's brought up. It doesn't, it shouldn't look the same in any two houses. It's not going to look the same in any two houses.
Yeah, no. And I will say, when it comes to planning, do two things. These are the most important things. One, pray about it, which we talked about. That's step one in this whole, realm of homeschooling, is pray, but pray before you start planning, and pray through your planning. But the other thing is if your husband is interested and he wants to be part of this, ask him. Not all husbands do. And that's okay. If your husband does not want to be part of it, a lot of husbands just say, you know what, I trust you.
Which
you're
is
the
awesome.
one teaching. I'm going to allow you to just teach and do whatever you're going to do. But if he wants to be part of the process, invite your husband to be part of it.
Totally.
And invite your kids to be part of some of the planning too, which we also talked about a little bit earlier.
Yep. Agreed.
So we have a few book recommendations, and
I want to hear your top. Give me your favorites.
Okay. I'm gonna roll through these. If you're watching on video, I'm going to actually show you the books. And I actually have put these in order of what I think are the most helpful. Do not get overwhelmed by my list. Okay. It's, let's see, 6, 7, 8, I don't like 7 books.
You don't have to read those all right now.
Well, I'm just going to read the titles, but you don't have to read all the books.
I mean,
you're saying don't read all the books?
Don't have to.
I have to read the titles, Abby.
No, I mean, you don't have to read those all in the next month.
You do not have to read them in the next month. Nor do you have to read them at all. Maybe it's not for you. And what I would recommend doing is maybe go on to click on the links. I'm going to put all the links in the show notes. So go to the link and look at the book description. And see if this is what you're looking for.
Oh, yeah.
And that will give you a better idea.
Some of these are more like handbooks where you might not need to read it cover to cover, but you're going to want to go back to these from, I mean, I have some books.
They're resource books.
That's the big girl word. Good job.
Resource books. Or you may have a homeschool friend who might have a couple of these books, and you can maybe borrow them, or from the library. You might be able to get some of these at the library as well. So
all right, give them to us.
Here they are. My first one, by the way, we have interviewed every single one of these authors on the podcast, because we're on, I don't know, we've been doing this for 3.5 years. So we're on episode 300 and something.
Wow. And
so we've had every one of these authors on talking about these books. And so I'll put links to the books, but I will also put a link to that podcast episode. Okay. And so if there's a book that sounds interesting to you, maybe listen to that episode if you haven't, or if it's been a while, and you can get a better idea of whether or not you think this is for you. Okay. So the first one is this. It's called Everything You Need to Know About Homeschooling. It's by Leanne Garfias. And this is literally like the mother of all homeschool planning books.
It's literally everything you need to know.
It is everything you need to know. She has done such a fabulous job in this book of just laying it all out. I mean, it really is, it's an easy to use guide. It's a comprehensive, easy to use guide. And it really is. She's laid it out beautifully. And this is, like you said, it's a resource. It's not one that you actually need to read the whole thing cover to cover. You can go to that particular topic that you're wondering about and just read on that topic. So if you're wanting to know about Charlotte Mason, you just go to the Charlotte Mason chapter and you read about Charlotte Mason if you want to know what that is. So she's done a great job. So that's my first one. My next one is by Israel Wayne. It's called Answers for Homeschooling, Top 25 Questions Critics Ask. Ooh. It's this book here. This one is fantastic. I
have that one on my shelf.
Yeah, just questions that others might have, questions that you might have for homeschooling. It's just a great book. Answers all of them. The next one is called Homeschool Basics, How to Get Started, Keep Motivated, and Bring Out the Best in Your Kids. And this is by Tricia Goyer and Christy Clover. So that's this book here. This one is fantastic. The next one is by Nikki Truesdell. It's called Anyone Can Homeschool, Overcoming Obstacles to Home Education. Another great book. And again, I'll put all of the links to these books in the show notes. Dorinda Wilson, this is her newest book. It's called The 4-Hour School Day. We've talked about that, how you and your kids can thrive in the homeschool life. This is a great one, especially if you have older kids. If you're jumping into this in middle school or high school, this is a really good book because it helps you to understand that your kids don't need 8 hours of instruction 5 days a week. She has graduated 7 of her 8 kids. And so she is that mentor mom. She is that veteran homeschool mom who can speak to this truthfully. The next one, I have 2 more, is Better Together, Strengthen Your Family, Simplify Your Homeschool, and Savor the Subjects That Matter Most. This is by Pam Barnhill. This one is really good because it talks about morning basket time, which our family does. It doesn't have to be your thing. We love it. We love doing our morning time together. And she talks about that in this book. And so that's a great one. And then the last one is Mere Motherhood. This one is by Cindy Rollins, and it's morning times, Nursery Rhymes and My Journey Toward Sanctification. So this one goes kind of hand in hand with Pam Barnhill's Better Together book, where she's talking about morning time and just how to get the homeschool day started. So again, please don't let that overwhelm you. Just click on those links, figure out what book you might want to start with, and then maybe even invite a friend to read the book with you. You both can get a copy of it and you can read it together. And I think it will be a great blessing to you because it goes even more in depth about what we're talking about. So
good list.
Do you have any, Aby, that you want to add to that?
Well, yeah, I mean, those are the golden nuggets. Those are amazing books. Then there's you can get books that are just for high school, just for nitty gritty, but these ones all really get to the heart. I love, and I read every year and give as gifts, Teaching from Rest by Sarah McKenzie. It just gets back to the heart of what we're doing. It's not, I that's really my passion, is reminding moms the heart of what we're doing. And, it's really hard to veer from that. I get really into the nitty gritty, the curriculum, the how are we doing on this? And it just takes you back, all of these books.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing is these are all older mentors. These are not newbies these are wise women that know what and men that know what they're talking about, and just remind us and point us ultimately at the end of the day back to the one that called us to do this job, and our eyes being on him the whole process through. It's not about us. It's not about our kids. It's about him. And when we do that, I always tell people, you can't mess it up when your eyes are on the Lord, because he's going to wash over the things that you think you mess up. He's going to guide you. He's going to direct you. So keep your eyes on him. So I guess I would say my top book for a homeschool mom would be the Bible.
Amen. Amen. Keep your focus on Jesus.
Amen.
And do it scared. It's okay.
Yeah.
Hold Jesus's hand, just like Peter did.
And you're not alone. Every emotion you felt, every fear you felt, we have felt it too.
And still feel it sometimes.
Oh my word. Yeah. Start the high school journey and there it is again. So don't ever let the enemy whisper that you're not good enough, that you can't do this, that you're the only one that struggles with these things. You're not. Every person that wrote those books that Yvette just held up has been through the exact same thing, the exact same fears, the exact same struggles, and came out the other end because they had the exact same God walking with them.
That's right. That's right. Well, and we are here to help you. We are here to encourage you, to equip you. This homeschool survival series that we're doing is part of that. Again, you can download on the website. We talked about it in the first episode, the Schoolhouse Rocked Homeschool Survival Kit. It's free. Just go on the website. You'll find it right there on the front. And you can download that. That will kind of break this apart even more for you. It's just a free ebook that you can download. Share this with your friends, you guys. They need to be encouraged. I know that you have people in your life who need to hear this and who need this encouragement as well. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you so much for sticking with us and allowing Aby and I to be part of your day, to encourage you. We are excited about what the Lord is doing in your families. We're hearing it from you guys. We get messages all the time, and it is so exciting to see God moving in ways that I know you never thought he would move, in ways that I never thought he would move as well. And so thank you for allowing us to be part of this journey with you. If you've not yet seen the movie, schoolhouserocked.com, go to the website, watch the movie there. Have a great rest of your day. We will be back with you next week with another fantastic guest. Bye.
If you really want to raise up a leader, if you really want to have a free thinker, if you really want to have an awesome American, now they're free. You're really free to raise up a leader.
I'm hopeful because I think homeschoolers in general really value this nation. They value the history. I just see homeschooling as such a gift to the family, and that's the bulwark of our society. What I'm also very hopeful for, and what I see as a necessity, is a return to virtue. The only reason that this society was as prosperous as it has been is because of virtue. And so if we lose this virtuous attitude that we used to have, and that's slowly, I think, being eroded, if we completely lose it, society is doomed, because there aren't enough laws to pin you into a position of virtue.
Yes, we have the opportunity to equip them academically to do excellent work throughout the rest of their life. We are taking this very seriously, that we are preparing our children to do what God calls them to do. But beyond that, we are very much keyed in on social skills and how they interact with people and how to do laundry and how to make their own eggs in the morning. And all of these just very practical things. We have the time to really invest in teaching our children so that we can churn out very well-rounded young men and women that really are ready to be world changers as God opens doors for them.
And they will become kind of the leaders, the self-educated, motivated, entrepreneurial, energetic leader types that we kind of feel a desperate need for.